Since I have been a part of the wrestling community, fans have been begging me to go back and watch old wrestling from before I was born and a fan in general. So I started watching wrestling in 2006, and anything that has happened post 2006, I feel like I know pretty well. But anything prior to that, not so much. Since WWE created a WCW Vault or just a WCW account, I have been able to go back in time and watch matches that I have never seen before, featuring wrestlers that I have never even seen compete before. And since the creation of this channel, it has been my goal to sharpen up on my wrestling knowledge from before I was a fan, and I think this is a good start. I have 9 matches here that I want to talk about, review, and give my ratings for. But before we jump into those matches, please make sure to like and subscribe. Turn on those notification bells so when videos like this and other daily wrestling content come out, you can watch those videos as soon as they drop. Thank you guys so much for being here. I hope you have a great rest of the day, and let's talk about some World Championship Wrestling. The first match we have here is Hollywood Hogan coming in as the WCW champion, defending his title against the United States champion and undefeated Goldberg. This was on an episode of WCW Monday Nitro, and let me tell you something, this was one of the craziest, loudest crowds I've ever seen in my history of watching wrestling. Goldberg is from, or at least billed from, Georgia, so it made sense why the fans were going crazy for him this match. And I'll be honest with you, the match itself, I wasn't expecting a 5-star masterclass between Goldberg and Hulk Hogan. So my expectations for this match were already pretty they weren't super high up, and I'm glad I did that because the match itself was There were some crazy moments in the match. Kurt Hennig, Diamond Dallas Page, and Karl Malone came out. I knew Karl Malone was involved in WCW's, had matches, him and Dennis Rodman. Not only does Karl Malone come out, but he gets involved in one of the biggest championship matches by hitting a diamond cutter on Kurt Hennig. I audibly gasped when I saw that because I didn't realize how big of an involvement he had in the match, or just in general. So eventually Goldberg does get the win by pinning Hulk Hogan, becoming the US and the world champion. And like I mentioned, the match itself wasn't great. I'm giving it a 5 out of 10. I feel like that's kind of appropriate right in the middle, but the crowd and the moment itself is easily a 10 out of 10. There is no debate about that. It's Hulk Hogan Goldberg. Again, we're not expecting a 5-star masterclass, but for what it's worth, it was fine. The crowd loved it. The crowd went crazy. The right person won. So 5 out of 10 match, but 10 out of 10 moment. Next up, we have Bret Hart versus Booker T in a #1 contenders match for the US title on another Monday episode of Nitro. So I admittedly have not seen any of Booker T's work prior to WWE. And after watching this match, all I want to do now is go back and watch all old Booker T matches, because this guy has just an unlimited amount of aura. The charisma just oozes out of him. Booker T I'm watching this guy and I'm like, this is the biggest star on television. I was in love with Booker T's presentation, how he looked. And in this match, Bret Hart was taking over for most of the match, but Booker T looked like absolute money, getting his ass kicked and selling for Bret Hart. And Booker T got a shocking roll-up win at the end, and it kind of felt like he stole the win from Bret, who was in control the whole match. But this was just a great professional wrestling match to have on a Monday night episode of Nitro, out of all places. This could have easily been a pay-per-view match, but this was just given out for free on a Monday. I'm going to give this match an 8.5 out of 10 because it was a technical masterclass by Bret Hart and a great come from behind win from Booker. I just wish Booker T got a little bit more offense in, but I get the story being told. He was the underdog, huge baby face win, come from behind win, and I can get behind that. And one other thing I want to point out, and this is something that I noticed as I kept watching, the logo in the center of the ring is massive. I never noticed, I guess, in old pictures or videos, but the logo that they have in the center of the ring is way too big. I don't really have a complaint about it. I could care less how big a logo is on a mat. It was just super funny to me how I just realized I'm watching it. I'm like, wait a minute. The entire mat is covered up by a logo. I just thought that was really funny. Next up, at Spring Stampede 1997, we have Rey Mysterio versus Ultimo Dragon. And admittedly, this is my introduction to Ultimo Dragon. I have never seen a match of his before. And from what I listened to on commentary, this was a rubber pay-per-view match. Rey Mysterio won the first one, Dragon won the second one. So now we are trying to see who can complete the trilogy, who's going to come out with the win. Like I said, this was my first time watching Ultimo Dragon. I said it about Booker T, but I'm going to say it again here. I'm going to have to watch some more Ultimo Dragon stuff because he has one of the craziest and most unique movesets I have ever seen. He was kicking Rey Mysterio's ass for most of the match. Submissions, sleeper holds, crazy combinations, crazy ass moves. He hits a Liger bomb into the corner, not into the, well, yeah, into the corner, not into the turnbuckle, lifts up Rey Mysterio for a tombstone, and then lifts his head up when he goes to pin him. The fact that he hits him with one of the craziest power bombs I've ever seen, and then a tombstone, and then that doesn't even finish the match was bonkers to me. As the match went on, Ultimo Dragon was getting way too cocky, and it was catching up to him because Rey Mysterio would be catching momentum, Dragon would shoot it down, but eventually Mysterio did get back into the match and did make things interesting. A lot of the moves that they pulled off, I was like, I have never seen this before. It was genuinely one of the funnest and most exciting matches that I have at least seen in a long time, and although Rey Mysterio was getting his ass kicked the whole time, he somehow pulled out a victory. Such a feel-good moment because the last few minutes were so like filled with near falls. It was super exciting and it was super fast-paced, and Rey Mysterio coming out with the win, it just felt so good because he was the underdog this whole time. He was getting his ass kicked. He was getting hit with power bombs, tombstones, getting his head lifted. He was in submissions. He finally fought back, got the come from behind win, and I'm gonna give this an 8 out of 10. Similar to what I said with the match before with Booker T and Bret Hart, I do wish I saw more out of Rey, but I like the story and I appreciate the story of him getting his ass beat and then coming from behind and winning the match. So I was a huge fan of this match. I want to go back and watch more Ultimo Dragon and young Rey Mysterio stuff because the shit they were pulling off in this match was not real. It did not seem like two human beings should have been able to do what they were doing. At Fall Brawl 1997, we have the Steiners versus Harlem Heat. And again, this is the second Booker T match on this list. Booker T is electric. Booker T, I'm telling you guys, I might have become one of the biggest Booker T fans after watching these WCW videos because he was the absolute fucking man back then. But Harlem Heat versus the Steiners, this was a pretty like technical, solid tag team match. Like nothing too crazy. The Steiners were getting the upper hand of Harlem Heat early, so they had to go out of the ring and kind of talk things over. It was really Scott that was beating the shit out of Harlem Heat. Once Rick got tagged in like halfway through, it started to feel like an actual tag team match and not a Scott Steiner beatdown. But honestly, I don't really have too many notes on this match. Just good back and forth. It was very good tag team wrestling, good tag team moves, very physical. Everyone got their lick in. Everyone looked strong. Everyone sold for each other. It was a solid match that they could have done more, but it was fine for what it was. So I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. Not bad, not great, but it's fine. We have a big one now. We have the Outsiders versus Lex Luger, Sting, and Randy Savage at Bash at the Beach 1996. Now, for people that don't know what this event is in the moment of it, this is the moment, or this is the match, the event, where Hulk Hogan notoriously turned heel in one of the greatest, most memorable heel turns in wrestling history. I know all about the moment. I have seen the clips, I have seen the turn, but I have never seen the match. And that's why I wanted to tune in, watch this, and kind of see what the buildup was like, what led to Hulk Hogan turning heel. And this match was honestly fine. Obviously, the moment, I think, overshadows the match itself. So it was 2-on-3 initially. Kevin Nash, Scott Hall come out. You know, everyone's wondering, where's the third guy? Where's the third guy? They're telling Mean Gene before the match, he's here and he's ready, but we got enough to handle it right now. So it's 2-on-3, but Lex Luger does get taken out very early, which like it evens things out. I get it, but I was like, they wasted no time taking Lex Luger out of this thing. And the way that he got knocked out, so he was like in the corner on the outside. Sting, I believe, went for a stinger splash and then accidentally hit Luger. Listen, all credit to Lex Luger because he sold it like a champ and that he actually was like dead. But like there could have been a more believable way of him to get stretchered out, to get knocked out and everything, but it works. It's whatever. The match was good. Hall and Nash were beating down and double teaming Sting for a very long time. It seemed like he couldn't tag in Savage. Hall and Nash looked like great heels. They were doing their job fantastically. Savage finally gets tagged in after Sting working so hard to get him in. They're all fighting, and at some point, all men are down, and Hulk Hogan comes down to the ring, looking around, saying, "What's going on here?" Nash and Hall leave the ring. Hogan's looking like he's going to do something to them. Then he turns around and hits the leg drop on Randy Savage, a career of a lifetime right down the drain. You sold your soul to the devil. Commentary said to Hulk Hogan. The fans were throwing trash in the ring. They did a 3 count, even though the ref was out of the match, and the match was, it was a no contest, whatever you want to call it. This was crazy. The fans didn't know what to do. Hulk Hogan turning into a bad guy the way that he did, so shocking, so perfect. Like, again, the moment itself overshadows the match. The match was fine. I give it a 7.5 out of a 10 because Scott Hall and Kevin Nash were great heels here. It could definitely be bumped down a little bit lower, maybe like a 7, 6.5. But I'll give it a 7.5 because I did enjoy it a little bit. But the moment itself, 10 out of 10. Unbelievable moment. And the promo that he cut after, this is the New World Order, brother. Iconic. Absolutely legendary. The next match we have is Diamond Dallas Page defending his United States Championship against Raven in a Ravens Rules match at Spring Stampede 1998. This match right here may have been my most favorite match that I watched because I'm a sucker for a good fast-paced, hardcore-esque match, and these boys delivered exactly that. They were fighting each other. This was not sports entertainment. This was a fight. From the second the bell rang, they were going at each other and they never stopped. They were going everywhere around the arena and they were using everything they could to hurt each other. They were using the props at the entrance ramp. They were using fences, tractor trailers, hay, cowbells, ropes, all types of farm shit they were using to kill each other. And it really did make the match so much fun. There was a kitchen sink that was being used. Raven's flock was getting involved, which was helping him, but also hurting him because there were some times when Diamond Dallas Page would like reverse a move or like they'd attack Raven by accident. So this made me think that Raven's flock may not have even liked him because it seemed like it was working more against him than for him. And like I mentioned, this was one of my favorite matches that I have watched out of all the WCW ones, but the ending was, so because the match was so great and like, I get it. So like you have all of Raven's flock trying to come in and cause Diamond Dallas Page to lose. He takes out everyone. Then all of a sudden, a new member of the group shows up after all of the members have been taken out. He attacks Diamond Dallas Page. I think Raven hits a DDT onto the kitchen sink, getting the win, winning the US title. And this was an amazing match that I wish had a better ending, but I still had a ball watching this for like 99% of it. So I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. I honestly was thinking about putting it up to a 9. I'm going to give it an 8.5. I feel like that's appropriate because I loved this match. It's just the ending was, that ending didn't need to happen, or I don't know, it just could have been better. We are jumping into Ric Flair versus Ricky Steamboat for the NWA World title at Chi-Town Rumble 1989. What a wrestling match this was. I'm going to tell you guys right away. I'm not going to wait until the end. This was a 10 out of 10 match. This was nearly a perfect wrestling match that saw two of the greatest wrestlers of all time giving you their absolute best. And there's so much history here. This was their first match in 6 years. Ric Flair at the absolute top of his game. I have never seen Ric Flair as on point and just on fire as he was this match. He truly is one of the best heels and just the best characters of all time. There is no one that oozed charisma, aura, and just had that when he walks in the room, all eyes are on you. Like, that was Ric Flair. He was the man. To be the man, you got to beat the man. And he was the fucking man. But tonight, the man was Ricky Steamboat because he did get the win over Ric Flair in what was a long, hard-fought 20-plus minute battle that Ricky Steamboat, he was giving everything to Ric Flair early on. Ric Flair didn't know what to do. He was all thrown off. He was very cocky at first, thinking that he can beat Ricky Steamboat, but as the match went on and Ricky was fighting on, Rick was realizing, ooh, I'm going to have to do a little bit more to beat Ricky. I'm going to have to play a little bit dirty. At one point in the match, Ric Flair got whipped into the corner. He flipped over, landed on the apron, proceeded to sprint into the corner, jumped off the turnbuckle into Steamboat, and then Steamboat reversed it into a pin, and my jaw was dropped. One, because Ric Flair did that entire sequence so quickly, and I wasn't expecting Steamboat to reverse it and potentially get a win there. So that that was jaw-dropping to me. But as much as Steamboat was in the match early on, Ric Flair eventually got him into a figure four for so long. And usually if someone is stuck in a submission for so long, fans get bored. It's like, oh, what are they doing? They're just lying around. They're not doing anything. Ric Flair makes a long held submission entertaining because he was just grabbing the ropes the whole time. When the ref wasn't looking, he was doing what he could to cheat, trying to make Ricky Steamboat's tap out. And it was just so well done. Like, he could have just been sitting there with the figure four, holding on to it for a minute or two, whatever. Ricky's trying to get back into it. But the fact that he's playing into the crowd, grabbing the ropes, getting everyone all riled up, again, just an insane performance, a once in a lifetime performance from Ric Flair. I say once in a lifetime, but he probably had plenty more performances where he was on top of his game like this, and I'm very excited to go back and watch those matches as well. I will say though, in one of the instances where Flair was trying to cheat and win, he was getting his feet on the ropes trying to pin Steamboat, and Steamboat kept kicking out at 2, and Flair just had his feet on the rope, and the ref was just looking down. Like, if the ref just looked up for a split second, he would have saw the feet there. Like, I get it. That's the 80s, whatever. It's not always going to make perfect sense, but it was incredibly frustrating. Be like, ref, open your eyes. Look up, ref. What are we doing here? Like, that ref, he needed to take a class or something, or he needed to be talked to after the match, because that was insane. So another story of this match, or at least something that I thought was a story of this match, was Ricky Steamboat finally jumping off the turnbuckle and onto Ric Flair, because there are a few instances in this match where he climbed the top turnbuckle, was thinking about jumping, but never did. Then at the end, he finally hits a crossbody on Ric Flair, but he takes out the ref too, so that causes some controversy. Some stuff happens. He goes for another crossbody, misses it. Flair goes for the figure four, and while doing that, Steamboat goes for the roll up. A new ref comes in. 1, 2, 3. We have a new world champion, and what I honestly don't know what I can say that nobody else hasn't. This was a near perfect professional wrestling masterclass, and this really could have been a perfect wrestling match, to be honest with you. I'm saying near perfect because in my head, I'm trying to think of like perfect wrestling matches and where I'd compare that, or I'd rank it compared to other matches. I'm not sure where I would, but all I know is that this is a 10 out of 10. Both men looked like gods and also made each other look like $1,000,000 because they both got offense in, looked great in doing that, but also sold for each other so well and made each other just look fantastic. The saying is it takes two to tango. And let me tell you something. These two brought their dance shoes because they went to the fucking dance and they came home king of prom. And the complete opposite of perfect, we have Goldberg versus Kevin Nash at Spring Stampede 1999. This was a rematch from when Kevin Nash ended Goldberg's undefeated streak. I'll be honest with you, this match wasn't great. It wasn't it. And for what, I don't know, like the atmosphere of it, like the entrances were unbelievable. Both these guys looked like they were fucking megastars, but that was the best part of this entire thing because once the bell rang, it was just weird. Like Kevin Nash beat the shit out of Goldberg, which we don't really, I haven't seen every single Goldberg match in my life, but every one that I've seen, I hadn't seen him get his ass kicked like he did here. And he did make a little bit of a comeback after getting his ass kicked. He took out the ref in the corner with the spear, and God bless that guy because that looked awful. Once the ref goes down, a bunch of shenanigans happens. Lex Luger hits Goldberg with a chair. Goldberg lows blows Nash. He takes out Luger. Then he just spears and jackhammers Nash for the win. It was, I don't know. It was a match. Like, I don't expect Goldberg matches to be amazing. You know what I mean? So not to be disrespectful, but like my expectations are already somewhat low. But it's like, I don't know. It's just gets beat down, comes back, gets beaten down again, makes a bigger comeback, and wins. Like, I don't know. It doesn't move me. I'm giving it a 5 out of 10. The match was only 7 minutes, and it's Goldberg. Like, why does he have to come back? He should have been the one that kicked the shit out of Kevin Nash. Kevin Nash is the one that ended the undefeated streak, so I would have thought Goldberg would have came in and whooped Kevin Nash's ass, but it is what it is. 5 out of 10 for me. And the last match we have here, guys, is Hollywood Hulk Hogan defending his WCW World Championship against Sting at 1997 Starrcade. And let me tell you something, guys. I had no idea how bad this was going to be. I had no idea about really like the backstory of this, what happened, and the extent of how bad it was. So let me start with this. The entrances again were unbelievable. Two of the best entrances I think I may have ever seen, because Hulk Hogan oozes charisma and aura. This guy just has the world in the palm of his hands. The way he's playing the guitar on the spray painted belt is just, oh, man, I understand why he was so popular in the 90s. And then Sting's entrance, guys, my jaw was dropped. I had to surgically repair it and put it back into place. I All I can think about was that we were robbed of seeing Sting versus Undertaker, whether it was a feud, a one-off match, anything. The fact that we never got that match, and the fact too that in the 90s during the Monday Night Wars, you were having Sting and the Undertaker going like against each other, like for ratings and shit. Crazy that those are the two biggest, like, scary supernatural guys. Anyways, this match was Hulk Hogan just beating down Sting, this was supposed to be Sting's crowning moment, right? This was a 12, 18-month buildup of Sting taking down Hulk Hogan and the NWO and winning the world championship. And what I read about this match, because I did do some research, was it was expected that Sting was gonna, not squash Hogan, like squashing Hogan, that doesn't happen. But he was supposed to be the one to, beat him down and look dominant and stuff. And I'm watching this match thinking, Sting is looking like more of an underdog and more of like he's really just trying to keep up with Hogan than he is beating him down. Because again, Hulk Hogan was taken over for most of the match. Then Hulk Hogan pins Sting. The ref counts to 3. Okay, the ref counts to 3, but the bell doesn't ring because Bret Hart stops the bell ringer from ringing it. Then he takes out the ref and basically forces the match to restart after Hulk Hogan clearly won. Like, it's not like the ref stopped, right before 3. Sting didn't even move. Sting did not even try to kick out. So that was like, what's happening right now? So now Bret Hart is the new referee and Sting puts Hogan in the Scorpion Deathlock. Hogan doesn't tap, or at least it looks like he doesn't tap. The bell rings and we get a new world champion in what was the most confusing and questionable and, may I say, worst finishes of all time? Because I'm watching this and I'm like, did he tap? Or did they have the camera set up so like he did tap but they didn't show it? Or was this like a Montreal Screwjob situation because Bret Hart was involved? I was so confused. And obviously, like, I wasn't around during this time and I wasn't, a fan of WCW of all this. Again, I did research and looked it up, and I guess this was one of the moments that was the start of the downward spiral of WCW, and I get that. But if I was a fan watching this live in the crowd, at home, whatever, oh my God, I'd be bullshit. I would be fucking tear ass. I would be ripping them to shreds. I would be furious at this decision because Sting does win the belt, right? But he looked stupid, and Hulk Hogan, if there was Hogan politics involved, backstage politics, he did that to protect himself, make him look good, I guess, in defeat, while making Sting, this guy that's supposed to take over WCW, win the championship and become the new world champion, making him look terrible in the process of it. So this was awful. I'm giving it a 1 out of 10 simply because of the entrances. That's the only reason why. And I guess because Sting won, like the right person won, even though it was terrible. If this could have been worse, it would have been worse if Hogan won. Like, that's the only way this entire situation could have been worse. So I guess, thank God, the politicking didn't go that far. But yeah, this match was hot ass. Definitely, probably the worst one. Definitely is the worst one out of all the matches I've seen. So that was, I guess I'll say that was the worst match that I've seen. The best one is definitely the Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat match. That was masterclass performance by two of the best ever. That was the best match that I've seen. But my favorite match, okay, so the best match was Ric Flair versus Steamboat. The worst was Hogan versus Sting. And I think I'm going to say my favorite match was either Rey Mysterio versus Ultimo Dragon or Diamond Dallas Page versus Raven. And I think I'm going to give it to Ultimo Dragon versus Rey Mysterio because they were doing some crazy shit that match that I have never seen before, and Rey Mysterio winning legit made me pop, and I was super hyped to see that. But okay, those are the WCW matches that I was able to watch for the first time, review, rate, all that stuff. I really hope you guys like this video because I really did enjoy going back, watching those matches, and giving my reviews. If you want to see more content like this, whether it involves WCW, I mentioned reviewing old pay-per-views and stuff. If you have any suggestions there, put them in the comments of old events that you would like me to watch because I definitely want to make that a series. And yeah, leave in the comments any other suggestions for videos, ideas that you have. I'd greatly appreciate it. Make sure to like, subscribe, turn on those notification bells so when videos like this and other daily wrestling content comes out, you can watch those videos as soon as they drop. I appreciate you all for watching. I hope you have a great rest of the day, and I will be seeing you all week. Peace out.